Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here today to discuss The Unholy Consult, the last book in the Aspect Emperor series. Yes, that's a lot of tabs. You have a lot more tabs than I do, Katarina, in your
Well,
book.
I don't have any notes, so
Oh,
this will have to do.
nice. So it's my first time reading the Aspect Emperor series, and I will pass it on to Daniel because apparently we are not very good at introductions.
I'm Daniel, and I have read the series a few times now, and it's interesting to be nearing the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I should be sad or excited that we're approaching the ending. Um, like on one hand, I'm really thrilled that we finally get hopefully some of the answers, and I'm excited I finally be able to go back to Reddit and read all the spoiler discussions that I've been trying to avoid for the past like 6 months at least. But it's also kind of sad that there are not any more books that we could read after this one, at least as far as I know.
There's other Baker books, I guess.
Yeah, true. Yeah, fair enough. But not any second apocalypse that we know of. I think.
I know what they'll be about now and how many books there would be.
Hmm.
His new video series on YouTube revealed that, or his brother's new video series.
But do
But
we know
well,
if they're ever get written though?
not with certainty. I My guess is that there's a higher chance of the No God series being written than A Song of Ice and Fire being finished.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, certainty is something I gave up on a few books ago.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
You
better.
don't we we don't need it anyways.
Yeah. So yes, we were talking before we started recording, but these 5 chapters felt, I don't know, that things happened, but I didn't have a whole lot of like a takeaway from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I felt the same. Especially considering where we left off at the end of the last book, where like so much happened. There was like a lot of action and like with Kels coming back and the battle at Dagley Ash and New York making this big comeback. It all got like super exciting and seemed like things were like finally moving forward. And then the beginning of this book, we're kind of like back to the very like slow pace and people walking towards destinations, which I think we've established is not my favorite part of the series. Um, but yeah, like things happened and some characters made some decisions that we're gonna talk about, I guess.
What book didn't start off slow?
I thought about that, but also wasn't this book one book when he wrote it? So I was kind of expecting it to continue the pace, knowing that it wasn't always separated. It was one book, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But I think all of his books do start a little slow.
I think maybe the Great Ordeal, like you start with the head on the pole, and then I think you follow with like Storwheel waking up in Esterbinth. Um, and like, I mean, the whole Great Ordeal, I felt like was like maybe a little bit more fast paced and like a lot of things were happening. Um, Whereas this one feels like we're sort of like kind of went back to the White Luck Warrior or like the tone of the Judging Eye.
Mhm.
Well, we don't have very much more time to get into something
Which is
like
why I'm always a little bit surprised, that we're not already like attacking Golgotha or getting nuked again.
Earthquakes.
Well, there was like a tsunami, a small tsunami, I guess, in the
Which
first chapter.
didn't you think that might happen?
Yeah, I did.
And then you were sad that it didn't, but you were half right, and then you were all the way right.
Yes, I'm happy I got my tsunami. It was very it felt very rewarding.
What do you guys think about the whole Kelmomus and Kellis and Esmnet?
Kellis seemed almost human, in his the way that the things that he told Espinette seemed almost he seemed not the character that we've had the last few books. He seemed almost like he almost like he cares. I guess like he cares for them, or he's trying to. He's not. He has his motivations have changed somehow.
Yeah, I think this was probably my favorite chapter of the 5 we read, and I guess I kind of realized that the chapters where Callus is featured, where Callus is actually like having conversations with people, are probably like some of the most intriguing parts of these books for me. Um, and yeah, as you said, Steve, it does seem, or he seems to claim that he actually cares about Esmenet and that she is, what does he call her? Some
The
like the
the
only,
darkness, the only place I can hide.
yeah, his only darkness, um, which I guess is kind of his way of saying that he actually like really cares for her. Um, Unlike their son, which if it was up to him, he'd already have killed a long time ago.
Yeah, he's. When I said he sounded human, I forgot about that part. Yeah, he talks about killing his own child, but um, he does make a comment about damnation. Is Espinet asks, "Is that why you left me? Because it was doomed. Sin is real. Damnation is real. I know because I've seen it."
And then he says, ignorance truly is innocence,
Yeah.
and that he is the monster the world needs. So he kind of admits to being a lie and a monster, but thinks it's for justifiable reasons. Keep
For
the
all
whole world,
mankind.
keep mankind ignorant to all the terrible things he's doing.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of the first time we actually get some sort of an explanation of like what decides whether you get damned or not. And I'm not sure how I'm supposed to understand it. So if when he says that basically if you remain ignorant, like ignorant about what, like if you remain ignorant then you will not be damned, but does that mean that, like what does it mean, for example, for the great ordeal? Like if does it mean that if they believe that they're doing like all the horrible atrocities they've committed, like people like Proas, if they believe that they did it for the right reason, does that mean that they can avoid damnation? It's, I don't know, that seems a bit strange to me.
A lot of them seem to accept it that they're very damned. They're doing all the damnable things, but maybe they can avoid it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy that we got at least a little bit of information, but like by this metric, who actually is saved in this situation? Like, is Esmenet saved because she believed in Kellis? Like, is that enough?
Hmm. I don't know.
Saraway believes, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She made too much, probably.
And where is she?
Well, in hell, according to Kellis.
And all of this is this is all Kellis talking to Esmnet, right? So, as always with Kellis, it's the truth is tricky. The truth's always tricky, right? I think you only believe Kellis when Kellis is thinking. Otherwise, he's playing a game with everybody. Always playing a game, just like his little son. Couldn't abide the portion that he allotted, so he killed all his siblings.
Yeah, I don't have children, so it's hard for me to say. Um, but like, how would you feel when your child was killed or was responsible for the death of your other what two, three children and like your most important allies? Would you forgive them or would you I don't know, want to punish them in some way?
I mean, also your stepbrother, right? With Mathanet, responsible for
Right.
that, and then responsible for a lot of other for the whole for this domino effect that's happened with all the actions he's taken. It's yeah, I mean, but I don't know that he thinks of his children as a normal person would.
Yeah, I was thinking more about Esmeneth actually, like
Oh,
because like she's basically she's the reason why Kilmomas is allowed to live at this point.
yeah, I'm not sure that I don't know if she would. If she had the chance, would she kill Kilomas? I mean, I don't think she would. If she had the chance to stop him, I don't know if she'd be able to. Would most? I guess the Dunyan can, but would most humans be able to do that?
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
But
She
it
had,
just he seems like maybe a bit too dangerous to keep around.
what about in Ralitas? He was chained to a wall in a room, just throwing shit at the wall, making everybody kill themselves somehow. But she kept him. I guess that reminds me of the what I forgot how many of the drowned babies, the wine drowned babies.
There's quite a few. There was like a dozen, right? But something
Something
like
like
that.
that. So Espinet's had to go through a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure that she's, up to what she's been through. I don't know if she's really up, in in a good state of mind at this point.
And now
I imagine she is.
Yeah.
she's down to one little kid left.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
the rest are
she's
adults.
lost everything. She's lost everything. Like she's lost her empire, and now she's stuck with a husband who she thinks she hates, and a child that she now found out is murdering psychopath. And she's in the middle of nowhere and traveling to who knows where.
Kellis tells her every iteration of the thousandfold thought that the Empire failed, and still he left her there.
But he came back.
Yeah, but anytime Kellis speaks, it's like for me, you hang on his every word because he reveals something. And in this chapter, like we talked about, he seemed a little more human than before, a little more forthcoming with what his motivations are. So that makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of believe that what he's saying is true. I don't, at least at this point, I don't really see another reason why he would come back for Asmonet, or why he would keep Kelmomas alive, unless it was to please her. But if is it actually true? I don't know. I do not know. I don't trust anything that Kellis says, but at the same time, it does seem plausible with the information we have.
I kind of thought he spared Columbus for her, like for her sake, because he knows what it would do to her. So, which is a risk, I think, just keeping him around.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, as like at least you can lock him up somewhere safe, where he's not going to be able to run around and ruin your plans behind your back.
They could have just left him to take over the empire. He's half done in. He would eventually do it.
You mean the empire that's been
Crumbling.
ruined by an earthquake and
Yeah.
drowned by a tsunami?
That seems like it would be his favorite place to play. There's all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah,
Feeding on carcasses.
and the empire was always meant to fail, right?
Yeah. There was no alternative reality in which the empire survived. At least that's what we learned from Callus. And Malawebi is kind of back, or at least still around, and semi-sentient.
Swinging from Kellis's hips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, at first it doesn't seem too bad, but somehow I don't know. I feel it's like one of the worst endings that you could have in this series, or not? What
You, you
what
mean
do you?
you mean having severed heads hanging from your hip? Is that not so bad? Is that what
No, I mean, well, like being a severed head.
that does sound pretty bad because you still just kind of hanging out. You just, but who knows what's we don't really know what hell is or what damnation is. So maybe it's not so bad.
Well, is he actually in hell? Where is he? Is my question, I guess. Because, like, for at least from like the images that we've gotten about hell so far, it seems like hell is just like constant suffering, whereas Malawebi just seems to be sort of floating around, but not necessarily in pain. He seems kind of stuck nowhere or everywhere or in between, I guess.
They feel like the Satman Neneferi like cursed him that he was gonna watch the end of the world, or he was gonna watch something happen. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I think she says something like that he will be a witness to everything.
Now he's swinging from Kellis's hips, getting poked by a stick because Komomus is bored.
So, do you think, going back to Esmenet and Callus, do you think that Callus is planning to reunite with the Great Ordeal, and is he bringing Esmenet with him, or if not, where is he? Like, is he going to put Esmenet somewhere to hide, or what's his plan for his wife and his kid?
Well, based on chapter 5, I think the greater deal is like, I don't know that he's wants to go back there. That's really his plan. I think he's on his own path now. It doesn't include the greater deal anymore. But I don't know. I'm not sure what his plans are with Esminet. It's strange.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like she would, more than anything, she would be a burden for him or really anyone because, like, she can't really fight. And what can she do? It's not, you know, like, I mean, not like obviously she has skills, but the skills are not really useful in the situation they find themselves in. I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think yeah, doesn't have. I mean, in this situation, the end of the world, she doesn't. I mean, what does she have to offer really? But I think from from what we've gathered, I know that the Dunyan are incapable of loving, or we're told they were. But I think Callus loves Espenet, and that's why he's doing this. Like you mentioned, that she's his darkness.
So
He,
poetic.
yes. Yeah. Daniel's just being really
Well,
quiet.
I guess we can move on to Sorwheel and Serwa. Is her name Serwa? No. Now that Serwa showed up again, I'm so confused about which one is which.
Yeah.
Serwa. I think it's Serwa.
Yeah, Serwa. The kid, right? Yeah, the daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the daughter.
I really don't like Sorwheel. I don't know. I know he's your favorite, but
That's okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe my mind will change as we get closer to the end. But
Why don't you like him? Let's hear it.
he's just not very interesting to me. I don't know. He just doesn't fit in this. He just seems like he's very easily manipulated. Like he's always changing his mind or changing his affiliations, or just his motivations change really easily. I don't know. Maybe it'll come together, but
I
I'm
mean,
not
that's
the biggest fan.
interesting because like what you just described is probably like one of the reasons why I really like his character.
Yeah.
You
He
know, the
rem-
fact that like, he doesn't really have like I don't know a goal necessarily or like a clear moral system, moral value system. Like he's just sort of floating around trying to find his way through the mess that he found himself in, and I find that interesting. But like, but I also understand how it could be frustrating for other people to read about.
when I read him, he's like a typical fantasy like hero trapped in a world that like doesn't allot for the typical fantasy hero, if that makes sense. He's the dumb little kid like on a Destiny to like do something cool that you read about in every other book, but since he's in the 3 Cs, it's just not the right place for a little hero like that. This is for 50-year-old grizzly men,
Okay, goodbye.
pe- people who become lepers. What did it call it? A leper's ordeal at the end of these chapters? Because the great ordeal is devolving.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's what you were describing is true. Like in any other book, he would probably be like he would be the chosen one, the the kid that goes out on an adventure and returns as this like I don't know mighty warrior, wise king, a leader. Um, but I mean, he is a chosen one, but he's sort of not figure out what he's been chosen for yet, or if he actually wants to do the thing that he's been chosen for, and whether he has a choice to do or not to do the thing that he's been chosen to do.
I wonder if Baker was playing around with, like you mentioned. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it, Daniel. But maybe he was playing around with the kind of like the typical hero we'd see in a lot of traditional fantasy, like coming of age, training montages, and he's a master swordsman in half a book or whatever, and just kind of how that would fit in this world. And I don't know if it's almost to show the contrast of this world versus other worlds we've read.
If you reflect back on almost any character and just compare them to someone from another book, like compare Nair to Conan and Acamian to Gandalf, goes and sits in a tower for 20 years and just becomes a grumpy asshole, kind of.
Yeah,
But
I think
but
the only
he breaks the tropes. He doesn't like to give people what they expect.
I think the only training montage you get with Sorwheel is when he's learning Shake, which I guess for most people could be quite underwhelming. I actually enjoyed it. But it's not as or learning languages is not as cool as learning how to fight with a sword, I guess, for most people.
I always liked Tyrion in Game of Thrones, and he mostly is a talker, just a smooth talker.
Yeah, charming in a way, as charming as a Lannister can be, I guess.
He has his moments.
Yeah, there was. I know I don't laugh very often in these books, but when we learn about the incest song, I couldn't help but laugh at that one. At the end of the chapter.
Yeah,
Is it supposed to be funny? Because I did not get it.
No, no, I don't think it was supposed to be funny. It just just because it just I don't know, it made me laugh. But no, I don't think it's intentionally funny.
I didn't get it, so I didn't laugh. But I'm happy you find something amusing in this chapter.
You have to find humor where wherever you can get it.
really makes me wonder just how terrible and gross the non-men have become after 2,000 years of just living in a mountain together. The degradation, it's like an everlasting Sodom and Gomorrah with no women. It's crazy. The
I
king
don't
was
see
like
what's wrong with it.
squishing slave fat all over himself.
Yeah, that was a little bit disgusting.
It appeared like they all had lovers that were all varying amounts of crazy.
Well, for once, I was quite happy that we got a point of view from Moengus because he's not necessarily someone that we learned much about until now, and I don't know. Like I am kind of interested to see like what kind of a person he is, considering that he is son of Naor and Serway, but he also grew up with the Enesrimber, and I was curious to know like how he like what he thinks about his siblings and his parents and etc. But the main thing I got from this chapter is that he really has been broken by the non-men
Yep, he's
in
the
both the
sorrow.
physical and the mental kind of way.
He's the sorrow of this trip under the mountain. He came out the weeper. And there's no weepers on the slog, and now even the Great Ordeal is the slog of slogs.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think anyone but the Dunyain would be broken by that experience. I think what they did to him.
Yeah, I think even Serwa seemed like she was like almost starting to lose it at towards the end of the previous book. Um, but she is Danyane, so it seems like at the end of the day, like she made it out okay, but Moangas did not.
No.
And then they get attacked by some Sylvandi.
Yes, right after Sorwheel gets laid for the first time. I think it's the
with
first time at least.
with Moingus like crying on a cliff below him. What a what a terrible situation those three are in.
I don't really understand Serwa's state of mind when she decided that uh, that's what she wanted to do. Like Sorwheel, like he's a horny teenager. I get it. Serwa, I kind of thought more of her. I guess.
I forgot what she said about his face. She said something weird about his face.
Hmm.
I think she said something along the lines of he looked divine, or his face was there was something divine in his face.
And now, does that mean that she sees the god? Or that she like is feeling a feeling she's never felt before? Which is like lust or love or something.
Hmm.
Or it's the god and she's mistaking it for that. Because she doesn't know what it is.
I don't know. Is like, do we even know if the goddess is still present?
There was a stork flying above when they were making love. And he
Oh.
was like, oh man, that sucks. She's watching.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was kind of confused by that. It wasn't clear to me whether, um, like whether he like the like. I mean, I guess he lusts after Serwa, but does he actually love her, or like is it just like is the mask that they put on his face like is that still there? But like also his face kind of got ripped away, so is what Serwa's seeing like what he was actually like in his face, or is she still seeing the sort of the mask that Yacht were put on his face?
She says, how could you still love me? But now we know Sorbo kind of does love her, so we don't know if he's seeing the truth or it's being hidden anymore.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like he probably doesn't even know himself. I mean that would be very Sorwheelian.
So really,
Poor little kid.
yeah. I don't think Servo would be. I don't think Servo would be interested in him, if not for other things happening.
That's so mean to say about.
She's Dunyane. She's well half, but I don't think she's capable of. Well, I think it would take a lot more for her to be attracted to someone like Sorwheel. I'm sorry. I know he's your favorite. I'm sorry. It's just they're not exactly the most compassionate or loving people.
No, I mean
Her
I get what you're saying.
her lack of care for Moingus really seemed to break him more than most of the stuff down there.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the fact that she like right away swaps him for a sore wheel, it's also doesn't help, I imagine.
Well, I remember I think it was last book when Kellis tells her that she kind of like this is, you know, your I forget the exact words he used, but kind of like you know what the next steps are, or kind of like this is what kind of like your role in this, and so I kind of felt that it was everything that she does now is for a purpose, for something, for an end goal. So I don't think she
Yeah.
would be spending. I don't think she would be around, or I don't see around, but she wouldn't be around Sorwheel at this point with if he didn't serve some kind of purpose for them. He didn't play a role, or they didn't want to use him in some way.
Yeah, I didn't really think of that, but I guess that's a good point. Well, I mean, that's the question, right? Like, is she keeping him around because she like has something that she needs him for, or has she somehow become obsessed with him since the whatever happened in Disturbance? Like, is it rational on her side to keep him around?
She didn't expect there to be like a civil war under the mountain while they were there, and it happened. And I think it was kind of his doing, even though he lied to her about why Oineral took him down there in the first place, because he was blessed by Yatwer. And he said because what was his lie? Because basically because he was still coherent, he could still understand and speak. He still knew.
Remember.
Yeah, he still remembered. And she seemed to believe it.
So what do you think, Steve, happened at the end of the chapter? Is that's where things got a little hazy for me. Um, it's like it seemed like they were just about to teleport away from the mountain, and then something happens to Moengus, I think. Um, it seems like he like falls down the mountain right before they leave. But I didn't know if like, does it mean that did he get shot by the Skilvendi, or did he fall, or did he jump intentionally? And like, what happened to Storwood and Serval? Like, did they actually manage to get away, or did
Did
they did they
did death
fell?
come swirling down? They got all that way, made it out of the mountain, only to just die on a cliff.
Yeah, that would be very anti-climatic.
But what
Oh,
about the
sorry.
moment where Nair like gets there and it's like, oh man, you guys killed my son, and he kills this whole tribe? Wouldn't that be fun to watch? I mean, read.
Yeah.
Nair getting mad again.
I think he has a long list of grudges, so this one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, on the I think it's let's see. He clenched teeth across the omnidirectional outward heave, the sense of bloating across all dimensions, and then the drop, the instant imploding into cracks and reality, inhaled as smoke. So I thought they had teleported somewhere, is the way I read it. Well, when I first read it, I thought they died. But going back, I think they teleported somewhere, and falling upon the lifeless dirt. Are they are they on the outside? Or are they in the lifeless dirt? So
Oh,
where did
I
they
missed
go?
that. Well, okay, lifeless dirt. That to me would suggest they probably managed to teleport away to the
The field
fields
appalling.
appalling. The field appalling, because that's how the field appalling is described, as being lifeless. So
Oh,
I
okay, I
guess
forgot
that
that.
would suggest to me they actually managed to get away. Yeah, I missed that little adjective.
Because when I first read it, I thought, "Oh, they're dead," and I thought, that's kind of weird. Like, what? And
And
then
you
I
were
went
yeah, you
back.
were happy. You were happy because Toru was finally gone.
No, I thought, well, Sorwell, there's no way that we've had him this long, and he's been annoying for this many books, and then he just dies like that. So it can't be. So I had to go back. I'm joking, but no, I thought there's no way they can die like that.
Oh, it reminds me how what's his name died. Katarina's definite favorite character.
Oh,
Up on a wall, just kind of anticlimactic in the middle of a really climactic scene.
wait, which one? A wall?
Um,
Are you talking about Compass?
no,
Okay, on a wall.
your
Ele-
your most hated character,
oh wait, Saban?
Saban. There we go. That was kind of anticlimactic, wasn't it?
I mean, he got blown up by a nuclear bomb, so it seemed quite climactic to me.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And the flashback or him seeing himself in the past, that was pretty neat.
Kind of like Malaweby, just kind of stuck in some weird place.
Purgatory.
Is there a purgatory?
I'm not sure, but there's some religious stuff in these chapters that I wanted to. I don't know. Do you guys catch? Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but they do mention the horns blaring of the three C's on page 56, and the first thing I thought of was like Revelations.
Hmm.
Within a watch, the clarion horns of the three C's sounded, and with the hymns of their aspect emperor kindled in innumerable hoarse throats, the holy host of hosts embarked. So that kind of reminded me like some biblical stuff. And there's more, and I think it's the next chapter. I think chapter 3 or 4. But
I'm very ignorant when it comes to the Bible. So if you can make any connections with the Bible, like I'll be happy to be enlightened. Um, because yeah, I severely lacked in that area. Even though I went to a Catholic high school, and
you
You're
went
I'm
to a
pretty
Catholic high school, and you didn't
cool.
write. Okay, so okay,
Not
go ahead.
it wasn't my choice, okay, but
Well, no, I don't mean like that. I just mean, go to page 72 if we have the same copy, and in the middle of the page, just tell me if those that text
oh,
in
okay, but
italics, if
yeah,
that rings a bell.
no, that does sound familiar. That's sort of a yeah, it does look like a riff on one of the prayers that you
May your
say in
bread
church.
silence our daily hunger.
Yeah.
May the meat silence our daily hunger. Now they're all realizing that they're all made of meat. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the one I found interesting is the line that comes right after, which is the judge us not by our trespasses, but according to our temptations.
Hmm.
But I'm not entirely sure how it goes in like our world, but I don't think that's
No, the
what it.
words are in different order, but they're almost identical, right? What is it?
Yep.
Judge us not by our temptations, or shit. And now I'm getting it confused.
Judge us not by our sins. I don't
Uh,
remember either.
yeah, I'd have to look it up. I can't believe I have to look this up. It's been a while.
Okay, no, so now we like all embarrassed ourselves, so I guess we can go back to the field of appalling.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No,
So
no,
yeah,
no, no. It's good. I mean, I imagine there are like a lot more references that I'm just not picking up on.
Most of these quotes are refashioned like old philosophy quotes, kind of. And since R. Scott Baker's good with words, he's good at refashioning old ideas or old quotes into sometimes better quotes.
So yeah, most of the time, better quotes.
Okay, I found it. So it goes, give us our daily, no, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Um, it does not talk about forgiveness in this version in the book.
Well, I think someone gets interrupted when, or the quote stops suddenly. I forget what exactly happens that interrupts it, but kind of felt like it was like a because judge us not by our trespass, but according to our Tim, and then it stops. And Lord Gremmel interrupts it, so kind of felt like it was just enough to kind of leave some breadcrumbs for us to put together, but not enough to totally make that connection. And maybe he's just playing with. I'm not sure if that's who knows if this is just playing around or if it's significant.
The first books were based on a religious war, a Christian religious war. So the comparisons just start carrying over, even though now we're dealing with like the metaphysics of hell and heaven. Guess we haven't. There hasn't been very much talk of heaven. Just like there's no parties, there's really no talk about like the good afterlife.
Mm-mm.
You don't hear about no pearly gates or being able to create your own planets, whatever weird religious beliefs people have when you end up doing the good thing. No one even contemplates the good ending.
Yeah, but that's a good observation. We've gotten a lot of description of the eternal fires and the demons feeding upon the babies, but we have very little, if no, imagery of the heaven, as far as I remember, anyways.
Mm-hmm. A lot of talk of damnation, but no talk of salvation, or very little. I don't think salvation's ever been mentioned, has it? Or even that?
Kellis tempted people with the fact that he could like create salvation, and that's why women are now allowed to wear boots and hold high positions, be mages. Mages might even be saved, according to his words, even though Acamian knows better. Most mages seem to know better.
While also Maimara thinks that, or she saw with the judging eye, that she is saved.
Well, that reminds me, you guys were mentioning how Kellis is taking Esmnet all the way up to the Golgotha now, and on the other side of the world, Acamian has his pregnant daughter, and basically another useless person carrying her all the way to the other side of the world. I forgot what Nair said, but he said something bad, and Acamian was still thinking about it in these chapters about bringing his woman all the way to
Oh yeah.
the worst place in the world.
But there is something that Maimara has that Asmina doesn't, which is the judging eye.
That's true.
And I think they want to use her to find out whether Callus is the good guy or the bad guy, right? So I mean, like, yeah, like I get it. Like there is a sort of parallel between the two. Um, but in some ways, it seems like Mimar is like one of the most powerful people.
Can you guys
Um,
think of any reason why a Dunyan would want to bring Esnet to the end of the world? Assuming Kellis is not broken and he does not love.
That that
Well, okay, hypothetical scenario where Callus is Callus is like, I don't know, doing something, and then Kamian shows up and he's like, "Ooh, evil Callus, I'm going to stop you." And Callus is like, "Oh, just Esmond, stand here in front of me while I'm doing my stuff, because we know that Kamian's not going to hurt you." So maybe she's going to be used as a human shield. That's my
So
theory.
a Commun's a threat to Kellis?
I mean,
yeah.
he is a powerful sorcerer,
Well, I
or
don't
he
know,
used to
yeah.
be.
I don't know, he himself is a threat, but maybe him just being there is a potential threat. But if it's just the two of them, I don't think he stands a chance, does he? I mean,
Or Maimara. I mean, Maimara is also probably quite powerful since the god is like speaking through her, and she probably wouldn't want Esmenet to get hurt either.
that
That's the best I got.
yeah,
I was
it's
just trying to think like a Dunyan. I
hmm.
suggesting maybe you guys think like a Dunyan. We remember when Proyas got violated, wondering maybe what the reasons could be.
Well, it touches on that a little bit. It mentions about the steerman, why he's chosen to be the steerman. But on that quote you mentioned, Daniel, is on the bottom of page 65. Why have you come, Drusicanian? Why have you dragged your bitch across 1,000 screaming, rutting leagues? Tell me what moves a man to cast number sticks across this woman's womb.
Yeah, that sounds like Newer.
Yeah, it's so funny to me, Katarina, that you love Sorwheel because he's this like I don't want to say innocent, but he's this kind of like semi-normal person in this crazy world, and then but you also love Nair, that's like the exact opposite of he's like the exact opposite of Sorwheel.
Don't look for consistency, I guess.
That's
I
fair.
don't, I don't know. I guess different people, different characters are interesting for different reasons.
Do
No,
you
that's
do you love Komomus?
I find him maybe more interesting now that he's been outed than before. But yeah, weirdly no. Like you would think I would really like his character, but for whatever reason, I don't find him as interesting as maybe you would expect.
it's an interesting point because him sneaking around and doing all these things covertly wasn't as interesting as he is. I agree. I think he's more interesting now because it's almost now he can do what he wants, and we will know his ability. I guess how far can he take this? Whereas before it seemed a little, I don't want to say small scale because it amounted to a lot, but just to kind of see him unhinged, it would be fun to see what he's capable of. Thiliopa, I miss. I really like that character, but
Yeah, it's like only after she's gone you realize like what a semi-normal person she was, and like what a pretty sad life she'd led. Um, yeah, I miss her too, or at least I feel bad for what happened to her.
I really thought she would make it. But maybe all these characters will come back at some point before the end.
Just so that they can all die again.
Yeah, I thought you said nobody makes it in these books.
Well, that's why So if they are in some kind of purgatory already, then maybe they're maybe it's another level of purgatory, another level of hell that they're traveling through, and maybe they'll come back and say hello for the for the finale and have some kind of role to play. I don't know. At this point, I have no
Your
idea.
reunion episode.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's interesting you say that because I noticed in both of the Proyas chapters there is a sort of a mention, or the way that the Proyas is referred to. It's like there's this they talk about like someone writing about what like Proyas, like the decision that Proyas made on like that day, or on that, I don't know what, I don't remember which exact part of the chapter it was. Um, and there's another suggestion that like someone wrote, or like things happen after like this expedition is over. I'll see if I can find the exact quote.
I
The
remember
ex-
reading that recently.
it's like the expectation that it'll be written about because all the stuff from the First Holy War is all like scripture now. There was a part where he was like, first he gets caught like looking in the fire when he's not supposed to, and then there's a time where he's wondering if he's not even real, if he's just like looking in a fire at someone else's life, or he has been the whole time.
Hmm.
Is this the Matrix? That's his. Is this the Matrix moment?
At this point, it's like I have no idea. Anything's possible. So yeah. So if somebody is writing about his decisions, maybe everyone doesn't die. It's
There
kind of
has
disappointing.
there hasn't been any appendix of the Great Ordeal like we had Drusus Acamian writing about the First Holy War, like throughout the book. So we knew the First Holy War was gonna, like, people were gonna live, at least Acamian, because he was writing about it. There has been no writing post Great Ordeal.
Yeah, but there was a suggestion that there would be, but I can't find it. I was sure I tapped it, but apparently I didn't.
As I was making my notes for this discussion, I remember looking. I remember seeing it. I just didn't tab it for some dumb reason.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I did find one of them.
Oh, okay.
It says about Proyas. Some witnesses report that he paused to survey the shock these words occasioned in the lords of the ordeal. Others claim that he paused not at all, that it only seemed such for the shadow of a cloud that encompassed the blasted plains. And a handful would claim to have seen a halo about his wild, catch-eye black mane. So yeah, there seems like it's like written in a way where like it seems like someone's like suddenly writing about events that happened in the past, which up until this point it seemed like we were kind of following the present.
What page is that on? Just so I can tab it.
79.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So that could be just the rumors going around the camp over the next couple days, or it could be the confusion years from now. Could be either at this point.
Yeah, it just surprised me because suddenly like the perspective seemed to change a little bit. So, but who knows? I don't expect anything. I'm not sure about anything.
The Great Ordeal is really going through some tough times. Horse meat's not good enough for them. They all want to turn back. Proeus wants to eat someone that's just been so close to hell that their meat must be charred and taste good.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I guess I saw this coming. Like we already had pretty strong hints that the men of the ordeal were sort of basically turning into the Strang. Um, so the fact that they start raping and eating each other is, I guess, a natural progression of what started in the last book. Um, but yeah, Proyas like licking the decaying whatever his name was, and thinking about how sweet the pus on his face. It was like that was the part was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's, I guess, it is, this is supposed to be bad.
And I liked how they, to keep everyone in line, they just randomly chose a few people and flayed them alive. What is a thumb length at a time?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was motivational.
Hung a bunch to the last tree. All the judges got killed
Yeah.
for trying to uphold the law.
There was something on page 75. His steerman had to be an unbeliever. The exalt general wept for this realization. This was conditioned ground. His Lord was here in him.
Gross.
I mean, I guess this is the answer to why Kellis had to go through everything that, not Kellis. Okay. Proyas had to go through all that, that Kellis subdued him to. I think for me the surprising bit was Cayutas, and the fact that less than some, but still seem to be affected by the meat to the point where he did some stuff. Although I guess the stuff they did was probably like some of the most innocent things that happened in that chapter. So
He killed the guy and realized he bled all over his shrink meat. Got mad.
yeah, and then he wanked Proyas off.
It kind of almost reminded me. I don't know if you guys have seen Event Horizon.
No.
Like the madness that I don't know if you haven't seen it. It won't mean anything. But just this point where everything just turns, like, everyone goes mad, like everyone's crazy, and everything goes, like, the worst things imaginable start to happen.
Civilization cracks.
Something like that. So the
Yeah.
steersman,
The
he's
boatman?
the steersman. Yeah. So we have
He's
the
the
boatman,
boatman.
the steersman.
I mean, yeah, I didn't think of it, but that's I guess it's a good parallel also with
He has to feed him. That's his whole goal, is to just get pits of meat somehow.
yeah, I guess the boatman got off easy, which have like feeding them pig carcasses is easy compared to what Proyas.
Having to throw him the Imwamwa. Just throwing slaves down there for him to eat. That would be comparable.
But yeah, for me, one of maybe one of the more funnier scenes for me was when why do I keep swapping there? When Proyas is when he's wandering around the camp, and he like run into these like gangs or groups of the Zadunyani, and they like kind of look at him like they want to eat him, and he just points at like the weakest person in the group, like, oh, no, the god's telling you to eat this one, not me. That was like what it was. I mean, it was kind of like bizarre and crazy and but also just funny.
And you thought I was being weird.
He just dispensated murder, and you laughed about it, but he didn't die. He just didn't want to die.
Yeah.
They're all
But
doing the worst things you can do. Makes the Holy War kind of look docile.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that because um we know that also the Holy War, like when they got trapped in Karaskan, they also had to resort to cannibalism, but it seemed, I don't know, more like justified than than here, or it didn't seem as bad in that book as it seems in this book.
It wasn't like running rampant. This time they had a bunch of judges come try to control it, and they were the ones who got the most eaten at first. Now all the
At
rest of
first.
them are hiding.
So now
The so-
Proeas has a horde.
Yeah, yeah, I was there was one, like there was just like a second where I got confused for and and it was like where did the horde come from suddenly, and then I realized that the ordeal has become the horde. Yeah.
There, I don't know if uh, we do get a little bit of insight into why Saban well, why he wasn't saved, I guess, or why he's not around, and why Proeas was chosen to be the steersman. Um, I thought that was kind of neat. I thought you might get some satisfaction out of that, Katarina.
Uh, I mean, since Sabon is in hell, I've been quite happy. But yeah, no, it is. But it is interesting. And I'm not sure entirely, like, that I entirely understand it. Like, I get that Pro-S is maybe like one of the more broken people, but then I mean everyone in the ordeal, in like the lords, the Cayutas, they all seem kind of out of their mind. And like especially Cayutas, I would think that he is someone, like, even though he has been affected by the meat, by eating the meat, like he still seems to like keep his wits together. So why not just leave the leadership to Cayutas? Why do you like?
Well, I think he mentioned this was this was conditioned ground. Callus had chosen him because, unlike Saban, he possessed a conviction that could be obliterated. Um, and Cayutas, his son, Dunyain, was simply too strong to be weak, to succumb to the way the shortest path demanded.
Too strong to be weak. I yeah. Please explain, someone.
So the way that I might be way off. Daniel can probably help both of us, but the way that I see it was because he could break Proeas, and that's probably why he did the things he did to him, because um, he was easier to manipulate and um, to mold or to use. And Coyotes would, I don't know if he would push back, but he would question things that Kellis may not want to be questioned. Maybe, I don't know. In a nutshell, Daniel, are we on the right track here, or way off? Or
That,
do we not? Are we not supposed to know yet?
that could be part of it. Could be that the things that need to be done to achieve the final leg of the march, for some reason, a Dunyan is less capable of doing. giving them the meat. Maybe it all has to do with ignorance and how ignorance is salvation.
I don't. I guess I would just imagine if that's the rational thing to do, then Cayuta shouldn't have a problem with his men turning into cannibals. Or if it was anyone else in charge, like any other men, they all seem very keen to eat each other. So I don't see them, I don't see them struggling with giving that command. Um, but I guess there is a reason that I'm not understanding yet. Or
I guess Proteus would be, I don't want to say a good soldier, but someone who would just follow direction and know. And it seems like Proteus knows it. It's almost, I got the impression that Proteus knows that this is a one-way trip, and they're almost being. It's almost like they won't survive this, but he's going to do it anyway, like because he was told, because Callus told him this is what would happen. So would Coyotes or Saban have done the same? Probably not. Saban probably wouldn't have. Well, no,
Definitely not Saban.
no, he was too too much self-importance. Yeah,
He wants the rewards, and if the rewards are a one-way trip, then that's not a reward.
so you think the rational thing to do at this point would be to just walk away from the army and try to save yourself?
well, I don't. You might want to run or leave in like pitch black darkness and hope you don't get caught. But
Back to Dagliash for the meat.
yeah,
That's where Steve would go.
But where do you go? You won't survive. And then there's not a lot of food left, right? There's no shrank to eat. You don't have anyone else to kill to eat if you live by yourself. So can you
Sorry.
turn back? I mean, can you leave if you wanted to? Unless you go with the group and they eat each other. I mean, there's no food. There's nowhere to. You won't survive. So it's almost like there is no turning back.
All those people that got left at Dagliash, they just kept marching towards Golgotha afterwards. They could have turned back. Their hair was falling out and all kinds of bad stuff was happening, and now everyone in the Great Ordeal is like losing their hair and their teeth and their skin's falling off. It's a giant leper army.
Is radiation sickness transmittable? I wasn't sure.
No, I don't think so. Well, no,
No.
it is. Yeah, it is actually. I
The
think you have to be in isolation for a while.
the zone, like if a nuclear bomb hits somewhere, the zone of radiation is huge. It's not a
'Cause-
little zone. It's a miles long zone of people that are in danger.
Because when Chernobyl happened, didn't some people who had radiation poisoning, didn't they were able to spread it? Or I think, or am I misremembering? I thought they had to be in isolation after for a while, if they had enough of an exposure to it.
Then it's radiating off of them. They have the radiation in them that can poison other people.
Yeah, it's awful stuff.
So it wouldn't be like coughing and transmitting it. It would be just like if something touches radiation, they have to dispose of it because it's got like a high level of radiation forever. And if you touch it, then you have radiation on you. So if people get a bunch in them, then you touch them, their sweat is like
Poison.
acid water, acid
Yeah,
sweat.
I guess it makes sense. I think if I remember correctly, even like here, I think around like when Chernobyl blew up, like people were advised like not to eat like mushrooms or like wild animals because potentially the radiation like would maybe get into the soil and then into the animals or mushrooms and stuff.
People in America, we would be trying to eat it. We've watched too many superhero shows. Might be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, might be Spider-Man. You
Just roll
never
the
know.
dice.
You just got to try to eat it.
Well, okay. Anyway, but even if radiation wasn't transmissible from human to human, I guess eating I don't like eating meat off of someone who's like rotting and is like full of like infection and pus and it doesn't seem like healthy diet.
No, no,
They
not at all.
ate the horses, and they were like, "Man, this still tastes like coal. This isn't even real meat. We had to go back for the real meat."
Maybe the Shrank are transmitting something to them, like some kind of poisoning or they're
Or
transforming.
resistancy.
Yeah.
Resistancy to bad meat.
But if they are transforming into Shrank, did Shrank eat themselves?
I think sort of like I think they mention in the last book when what
In the
Sybil.
thousand halls, they literally ate themselves. They didn't eat each other. They would like
Oh,
eat their
okay.
own
Uh,
arm just so they could eat something. So eating each other is probably just a step above that.
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. And I think they also mentioned that like in when they sort of ride into the horde, they can see that the Strang are sort of eating the corpses of the other Strang. But I guess there wasn't much meat on them anyways.
Yummy.
Yeah.
I don't even imagine the judges had much meat on them. No one that's getting eaten now has much meat left. It's going to be like a bunch like them when they came out of the desert. They were all starving and dying of thirst.
So when we do see, so when as they are getting closer, I wonder if, okay, it seems like all these really terrible things are happening to them. They're falling apart and they're going mad. So what was the purpose then
The purpose of the great ordeal.
of getting or getting to this location? I mean, why travel here? I mean, I get before, but why continue?
I guess there is still hope that a substantial part of the army will make it all the way to Golgotha.
Hmm.
A horde.
Um,
A horde will make it to
or
Golgotha.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that should be enough. Hopefully, I don't know that. Well, do we know if the console has any kind of an army at Golgotha? It seemed, or at least the impression I had was that the horde was like most of the strength that were under their control got annihilated at Dagliash.
But then you have an unknown amount of Earth rank, and we know that they called the Sylvendi to come and help. We know that the non-men mansion was on their side. We haven't seen any Sylvendi or non-men fighting with them yet.
Right. Well, okay, then I guess we'll have to hope that whatever number make it to Golgotha will be enough.
It doesn't sound like there's very many. I mean, from the last couple of pages, um, let's see.
Kellis said a long time ago, I feel like, that they would have no chance against the No God if the Horde remained as big as it was.
Hmm.
So the great ordeal was to cull the Horde before the arrival of the No God.
What hell hath cooked, he would eat, and even our weeping is broken. We chew our dignity to the gristle until we become creatures that move merely to counterfeit sons of rumored fathers. I don't know, does it sound too good? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine walking that far. At that point, you just gotta finish because Golgotharoth is closer than anything else.
It's almost seems like the closer they get, the worse they get. Almost like it is some kind of, almost like it is radiating something. That the closer they get to it, the worse everything becomes. So, yeah, I don't know. Are they in any shape to fight even at this point? I mean,
The further they get from Sacarpus, the further from like civilization they get, the less civilized they seem to.
It's more like they're embracing the Inkrai way of living, or the Inkrai culture, which is also very much about like lust and desire and violence. And but yeah, I do agree with you. It does seem like they changing, and they're becoming closer, like becoming more and more like the creatures, similar to what the consult that similar to the creatures that the consult has created, than to the humans that inhabit the three seas.
Now
I
who
don't.
knows
Yeah.
who knows how many blind ones there are, and it talked about them throwing their swords and shields down. So it's just a bunch of people, just thin lepers with no weapons.
Just falling apart. The only thing I mean, I'm sure we'll find out, but the only thing I can see this having any kind of purpose is for a diversion, maybe that Kellis needs to divert attention away from whatever he has planned. But other than that, I mean, I don't, they're I, I don't know. It's strange that they would continue and all the way. But maybe they're all going to die anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Yeah, I also do get the impression that they eventually, like most of them, will get sacrificed, um, just for Kellis to be able to fulfill some goals of his, whatever they are.
Just to save the world, maybe?
Maybe.
To become the god of gods, maybe?
You know, when I forget which one of you read that passage about um, Proyas having the halo, that it almost looked like a halo above his head. The first thing that came to, and I missed that. I didn't really quite catch it when I read it, but the first thing that came to my mind was like a fallen angel kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking in too much in the religious angle of it, but it seems like it's laying it on a little heavier now as we're getting closer to like end of days kind of stuff.
Well, I guess if I was to say, like, if there was someone who I would describe as a fallen angel, it would probably be Inkaroi,
Hmm.
because they literally fell from the sky and they have wings.
Oh, nice. Very true. Very true. I like that.
They do seem like very bad fallen angels, fallen demons.
And also the consult, and I can't help but wonder if things are going to get twisted around, that who we thought was the villain or the big bad the whole time turns out to be the good guy, like the good people, and that we've been seeing it from the other perspective this whole time, and we've actually been following the big bad ourselves, and the good people are actually who we thought were the big bads the whole time. Something, well, I don't know.
I
We need
don't
to
know who the good person is in this story, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know either.
about the halos. Like Kellis also has the halos, but they could just be glamour because he does a lot of stuff just for show. Whereas Proteus has no magic, and he's just seemingly has halos too.
Mm.
Archelaus is real? Are Proteus is real? What do halos even mean? Is that a could is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No idea.
Lots of questions, no answers.
This must be fun for you, Daniel. This whole all these books to hear us just throw out all these crazy theories. And I'm surprised you didn't react when Katarina said maybe they'll all get nuked like 2 books ago or whatever it was. That was pretty good.
I kind of assumed she might guess because we were talking about the techne and the root of the word and it being technology and what kind of weapons technology brings. And it does bring nukes and maybe whatever no gods are.
No, I
Appar-
definitely did not think that through far enough to come up with the possibility that the console would actually have a nuclear weapon. So I was surprised when that happened.
They came off of a spaceship. They got all kinds of crazy things.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the fact the spaceship doesn't have to run on nuclear power.
What's the weapon we've been looking for the whole time? The Heron spear?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was
Whatever
a
that is.
laser. I thought it was a laser gun. You know.
It- it's a it's a Heron spear. That's all we know. We'll see. But it did come from the Techne that also made nuclear bombs.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll never see. Maybe no questions get answered.
What happened to the Heron spear? Did we talk about it? I can't remember. Maybe
I
we did.
think it's in the what comes before, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the last time we saw it was at the fields of Mangetta.
When it was used against the no god originally,
Mm.
then it was carried away by somebody or something, and then it hasn't been seen since.
Hmm.
So is that? I'm assuming that's like the Spear of Destiny. Is that what that's referring to?
I don't know. It was what was used to kill the no god the first time.
Well, if it's still around, I guess I would assume it would be left, like it would be somewhere in the south.
And it's
Are
the
you
it's the consult that's looking for it currently, right?
are they? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the consult have mentioned it a couple times, and Acamian has dreamed about it a couple times.
So is that what's going to kill Kellis?
Can something kill Callus?
I
He
don't know.
walks, he conditioned the ground and then left. He wasn't even there, and he conditioned the ground before then. At least Proteus thinks so.
It's like pre-moving in chess. Like you pre-move you'll pre-move like several moves ahead, and you just walk off from the chessboard, and the moves play themselves.
So on
Only Callus is like the computer. You change the difficulty to impossible, and it knows all the moves.
Yeah, the cow is like the stockfish of 3Cs.
Every iteration of the thousand-fold chess game, it knows.
so we do know who took the spear. So on page 3, Saswatha fled south to the Kitai nations of the Three Seas, bearing the greatest of the legendary Igure weapons, the Huron spear.
But what happened to it afterward? Like we know that he used it
Mm-hmm.
to kill the no god, but does it say if he hid it somewhere, or was it like
Does
one time use kind of
doesn't
weapon?
doesn't say. I don't remember who carried it after that. I'm assuming it's in one of these what comes before, and it's the wording just changes, like he often does, to like hide things or to not reveal too much.
Maybe once we get finished with the book, we'll do one more week after we read the appendices. There will be lots of historical revelation in there.
Yeah,
And
I'm
there,
kind of sad that there is no like Silmarillion. I can't, what's the book called? The
this,
Silmarillion. So the
Oh,
Silmarillion proper for this series. Because
there,
like we get
there
all these
kind
like
of is. It's called the Atrocity Tales,
hmm.
okay.
and you can find bits and pieces. There's probably maybe 7 or 12 total stories. Maybe.
Hmm.
I think there was a lot more planned, but that's all of his weird short stories.
I
I
think
can
there's
send you the links and we can read those too.
I think there's two of them in my edition of this book. The
And
False Sun and Four Revelations.
some of them are, yeah, but that's 2 of them. Some of them are in Grimdark magazine
Hmm.
Hmm.
because right when it came out, R. Scott Baker wrote a couple of like short stories for them, and they were atrocity tales as well. And some of them are up on his website. I don't know how many.
Hmm.
Oh, only the 4 revelations and the false sun. And the false sun has a spoiler alert on it.
Well, I'm not reading it before I finish this book. Um, so what does it mean, like changing the topic a little bit? What does it mean that the god is a spider? Uh, I think Saban mentioned talks about the god being a spider in the last book, and now Proyas also thinks about God, and he says the God wasn't human, a spider of nothing and for no one.
So a
What
spider
does it mean?
like the skin spice have spiders for faces?
I don't know what it means. It's
Damn.
talked a lot about God and how like we can't comprehend its thoughts because its thoughts are like nothing like a human's thoughts. Time doesn't occur the same for it, whatever it is. Isn't that what Kellis calls the god? Doesn't he call it it? And he calls himself ground.
The place?
Yeah, the place.
Well, okay. Well, I guess I'll have to wait.
I always think back to something you said, Katarina. Like I don't know, it was probably months ago. Was it the more I read, the less I know, or something like that? It seems to keep it stayed true the whole time. So
Yeah, pretty much. So, like the moment I get some answers, I have even more questions. Like more questions usually pop into my mind.
We're really going down like the metaphysical rabbit hole. There was no metaphysics except for magic in the first books. And then all of a sudden there's white luck warriors and there's outsides and demons are feasting on babies and there's heads on poles and
heads on hips.
heads on hips that are having thoughts.
Hmm.
It's and just like religion, like you can study it forever and the answers always end up coming down to like what they describe as faith, just like blind belief, right? No matter how much you study it, you have to have some level of completely blind belief. So how much of that blind belief is there going to be in these metaphysics?
Hmm.
I'm just getting more confused. Honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we don't have much more.
Yeah.
4 more weeks.
Mm.
Something.
Somehow I'm a bit skeptical about how much of this will get answered fully.
Let's reflect on the first series. How many questions did you have coming into the last battle, or the last little bit, like before Kellis had met Moingus? You had like the snare loose ends. You had Kellis's loose ends. Acamian's like crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it did, like a lot of my initial questions did get answered. Like we did get the truth about Moengas and like his history with the other characters and um Kellis's mission, but then also like it also opened up a lot of like new questions about the No God and um what Kellis's like ultimate goal, like what Kellis's version of the thousandfold thought would actually entail. Now that Moengus was dead, so I guess we'll. So just like if we apply the same pattern to this series, I guess like a lot of the things that I'm concerned about now will get answered, but then I'll just end up having like lot more questions about things I don't even know about at this point.
Well, another thing is like I think it mentions again in this what has come before, but it mentions that Kellis went mad. So that's another level of I don't know what's going on. Never know what he's really up to. Like what are his motivations? You never really know because if he is mad, then
Who isn't mad in this book?
but Kellis, I thought he was always the one person you thought had it together or had a
What
plan. But if he's
he,
mad, then
he walked to the conditioned ground the most, so he knew the darkness that comes before, and now his wife is his darkness.
hmm, hmm.
Hmm. Uh, any thoughts on Akamian and Maimoro?
Not really, not a whole lot.
Yeah, they mostly seem to just walk a lot
It was
in
cool when
general.
they discovered the horde. First, they're like, "Wait, what is that? Oh yeah, that's millions of dead Shrink bodies all over." And they didn't even think about eating it, but they're snorting query. They don't really
They
need
don't
to.
need it. They get better stuff.
Got the good
Uh,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, if you can eat a non-man, why bother with the strength? It's like cocaine and crack or whatever. I don't know much about drugs, as you can probably guess.
What's that hallucinogen? The natural one? I was saying MSG. The other one,
DMT and AMT.
DMT. Yeah.
AMT lasts like 12 hours, and DMT lasts 2 minutes.
Oh, that's all. Oh, no, it's only 2 minutes.
The death drug.
Huh.
Supposedly. Supposedly, it only lasts 2 minutes.
Anyways, Maimara and Akamian seem to have a vastly different understanding what the end goal of their journey is, I think. Uh, there's like this one point where Akamian starts shouting like that they're marching for the death or something. And like basically like their death, I guess, is the end of their journey. Like I guess he expects to die at Golgotharath, and Mara is like, no, like we march for life and for hope. Um,
It's the first time I'd seen hope in this book, I think.
Hmm.
It jumped
so
off the page.
I wonder to what extent it's maybe like Seswatha kind of influencing how Okami's feeling about this leg of the journey, and also Maimara being influenced by the god, or if that's genuinely how they perceive where this journey will lead them to.
Akamian's muttering to himself a lot now. Not even noticing it. He's becoming a crazier old man. I wonder if he muttered in his castle for 20 years. And he just had no one around to catch himself. So he just never noticed.
I would imagine so. I mean, that's what I would do, like, if no one's around. I mean, I'm already talking to myself when no one's around. So. Even sometimes when there are people around.
Yeah, happens.
Talking to the critics in your head.
Yeah. Mostly, like, I'm just angry at myself for making stupid decisions.
That sounds like a critic in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, we talked about it for a lot longer than I thought we would. These were the slow chapters, we said.
Yeah, there's a lot of meat on these pages.
Yeah. And there's I think we spent a lot of time just like throwing these theories out or asking questions or trying to figure out what's happening. So that's probably half the time is us trying to figure things out.
Contemplating. He really tried to drive home the de-evolution of the Great Ordeal, though. Like, kind of just like the first set of books, how it was a holy war, and then they were doing all of the unholy things in the name of the holy. And now it's metaphysical, and damnation is like a lot more guaranteed, when before they were just fighting for like their profit and they were guaranteed a win. Now they're all just trying to like fight for humanity, but they became less than human on the way. They are kind of like a human version of Shrink. They are all swordless. They're losing all their hair. Their teeth are falling out. They don't have weapons, so they're just going to like run against the enemy, probably. Unless they find some weapons. Make some weapons out of the bones they're finding in the field of falling.
I think Proas exemplifies that really well. Is if you think back to the first Holy War, when he was the one who was probably most concerned with his soul, and always like having these dilemmas about like what was the right thing to do, and wanting to save his soul. And now the only thing he cares about is the meat. Like I think he's at a point where like he's completely given up on his soul, and the meat, the physical is the only thing that drives him at this point.
Just sucking pus out of somebody.
Yeah.
I remember when I first heard that, I thought it was so gross. And then now, here 10 years after I read it, people like watch Pimple Popper on YouTube all day long and all these weird, gross things. I can't understand people. I don't understand people.
Yeah, I cannot watch that. I have my limits.
Yeah.
I probably would rather watch someone eat a person than watch a massive pimple being popped.
Wow.
Both would be bad, but
Yeah, that'd be bad.
I'm definitely more likely to watch like a bad shooting video than a pimple popper video.
I think I'll go watch some like kitten videos after we finish this podcast, this
Those
episode.
those are good too.
Yeah, those are good.
Where no kittens die or squashed or run over, just to be clear.
Not not from the Nature is Metal Instagram.
I've not
Where
heard of that one.
it's where you get to see nature for what it is.
Oh,
Where they rescue a bunny and save it, and then release it, and it gets killed instantly by a giant bird because nature doesn't care. Most of the videos are actually like baby animals because baby animals are the easiest to catch and the weakest. So, of other animals catching baby animals. But it shows you what nature is. You think of a little cute animal when really, like, the birds out there just like pecking the brains out of all the other animals. They're all ruthless.
so so there was something I just on the last page of chapter 5. Holes filled with meat, gaps between faces, between stars. Between stars. I don't know. I'm just maybe it's significant somehow. But
Could just be what he's seeing. He's seeing all the faces and meat, and above him stars because they're like out where there's no clouds or no anything anymore.
it's true.
Or it could mean something. Could mean something metaphysical.
I don't know what it means.
I have no idea. We'll find out soon, hopefully.
We did find
Hopefully
out that
not.
we found out that hope was meat and desire was meat. So maybe Proteus just needs to feed them some kind of metaphorical meat. He's definitely got to feed him, though.
Yeah, we've established that.
Yeah. Anything else on your notes?
No notes, just
No notes?
tabs.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Just tabs.
But I think we covered it all.
Yeah. So for those of you, I'm sorry, Daniel, go ahead.
There was a part where it said, the bleeding side of life, when someone was talking, and I thought that was pretty cool. There's another side of life that's not bleeding. It's just full of eternal damnation. The bleeding side of life is just a little bit of hell.
What a positive note to end on.
Yeah. So talking about dead bunnies and
That's these books. I guess we can go back to Mimara, finally talking about hope. It's all about hope. The one person in this book who thinks it's all about hope. Maybe Kellis. Does Kellis think it's all about hope?
no.
He tells everyone he's the monster that the world needs. So maybe there is some hope that he can save the world from damnation, even if he has to be sent to hell for it, even if he has to do all of the hellish things he's done, which has been a lot, right? Kellis has done some pretty bad things.
A couple, yeah. I can think of a couple of bad things he's done. Yeah. Very bad things.
Yeah, I wonder in a contest between Nagor and Kellis, which one is the most damn.
Nair seems like it's a lot more firsthand when he does things. It's like out of real passion. Kellis is passionless.
But does it matter?
Part where I don't know, maybe.
Well,
maybe
when he talks about damnation,
if
he
ignorance
says it's all about. He says it's all about premeditation. And I guess you can say a lot of things about Kellis, but he definitely
Everything.
premeditates everything.
Whereas Nair doesn't really premeditate anything. He just like bounces from rage to lust to rage to lust, pretty much.
Then how come he's the one who's damned?
I don't know. I remember a part where he was like in the rain pulling apart a little baby, throwing it at this guy's door.
There was that, yeah.
Maybe I dreamt that though. Seemed like it was so long ago.
20 something years ago in the book.
Yeah, probably.
I do. I'm sure some babies died in the writing of this book or this series.
A few. Yeah. So the feel good conversation of the week.
This
Yeah.
in this book that's considered like a blessing sometimes. They think, oh man, I should have killed my kids because what's going to happen to them is so much worse.
Get the red wine ready. Well, on that note, those of you reading along with us, if you're still, if we haven't made you depressed or ruined your day yet, those of you reading along, we will be reading chapters 6 through 10 for next week. So this year, those of you reading along with us, you know kind of what our goal is for next week. If you want to, I think outros are they worse or better than intros?
They're
I
more
think
irrelevant.
basically are not to be found anywhere.
Yeah, nowhere. Don't look for us. Or you can go to the page to inform and tag us in or post in the Baker section, and we'll respond there. But thanks everybody. We will we will see everyone next week.
Yep, sounds good.
See you in the next one.